Hello, Ben Johnson, Louisville Parks and Recreation. Welcome back to Beyond the Bench, our monthly show where we take you beyond the bench into all things parks and recreation. So, welcome. Hope you enjoyed the previous episodes and will enjoy this one as well. We always start out with a did you know? This month's did you know is there are proven, documented scientific benefits to intergenerational recreation. That's something we'll be working more on, but in terms of seniors, improved communication, enhanced self-esteem, better decision making, improved memory as we engage our older population. As far as the young people, there's actually been studies that show improved academic achievement, better behavior, their self-esteem improves as well, emotional bonding as one generation learns from the other. So we encourage you, as the weather gets better and the days get longer, to purposely seek out some intergenerational opportunities. And I'm going to particularly challenge our teens. You have an older neighbor? Maybe go help them take out the trash, cut the grass. You had a few storms, pick up some limbs, you'd be surprised what you can learn from them. And you never know, a little granny might slide you a peppermint and granddad might put a little couple dollars in your hand and you can run and get something to eat. So that's this month's Did You Know? Our first guest today is that was part of my initial question. It's James Brown. I'm going to leave you alone about the name.
Appreciate it.
But you are our senior park ranger. What is your actual official title?
So I am the new Chief Park Ranger.
Chief Park Ranger, okay. So who are you? Why are you here as the Chief Park Ranger?
Well, like you said, my name is James Brown, and I am originally born and raised here in Louisville, was raised just outside of Iroquois Park, so been here my whole life. I spent about 22 years in law enforcement in Oldham County after I graduated from Eastern Kentucky University and spent that time out there and then retired recently, but wasn't ready to finish my community service or my public service, and this job opportunity came along and I'm super excited about it.
Okay, so right into my next question. So what encouraged you or what motivated you to take your law enforcement background, and I don't know how you found out about the opportunity, but now have a similar role but in parks and recreation?
Mm-hmm. So again, like I said, after 22 years of working in law enforcement in a kind of a suburban area, but again, I had always wanted to be able to make a difference law enforcement-wise, community-wise, here in Louisville where I was born and raised. And I had really thoroughly enjoyed my career in Oldham County, but like I said, I wasn't finished and I wanted to be able to still do more and give back more. And I thought this was an amazing opportunity that's still in a law enforcement field, but really takes kind of a different approach to it, as opposed to being responsible for responding to calls for service or accident investigation, things like this. It's an opportunity to be more of a liaison for the parks, to be visible, to interact with people while still doing it in a law enforcement capacity. But the main focus, I believe, is just, again, being visible and getting out in the communities, in the parks, and meeting people, and just being there and being visible to help make a safe park environment.
Right. So it's quasi full circle since you have a Iroquois Park upbringing. So that's good. When you work in Parks and Recreation, that's why I do the Did You Know? There's so much stuff people don't know. And you've been here how long?
This is, I think, the start of my 4th week. So I'm brand new.
Newish, it's trial by fire around
Absolutely.
Here. So in those four long weeks, what's been the most surprising thing thus far?
Well, first and foremost, I didn't realize how many parks there are. With 124 parks, plus community centers, pools, etc. I mean, it's an amazingly large network that clearly I didn't know about. So I imagine probably most people don't understand or don't know what's truly out there for them. So it's been again, obviously I haven't been to all of them yet, but I'm trying. That's the plan. We'll get to all of them. But it's been a really neat experience, again, to learn about what's out there, what each one has, all the facilities that are available, and meeting the people who work there, because everyone that I've met so far is truly dedicated to what they're doing, is energetic, enthusiastic, and all I think share the goal of creating the best park system that there is.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of great employees who really believe in what we do. So what's your personal philosophy in terms of doing the work that you do with some of the, I'll say, natural barriers that might exist or some preconceived notions about anything or anybody law enforcement?
The biggest thing, I've always taken a very service-oriented approach to being a police officer or doing law enforcement. I mean, truly, we are there to provide a service, to provide a product to the public, and that is service. That's responding to their needs. It's being there, being a liaison. When something happens or there's an issue or a problem, and it's just out of the ordinary, and people don't know who to call or who's responsible for it, usually it's law enforcement that gets that first initial call to go check on it and see what it is. And many times it can be something as simple as someone just lost, needs help, but it's an opportunity to provide service to people. And that's like my biggest philosophy, is just providing a service, being of benefit to someone to hopefully have a positive impact on their life or even their day.
Great. Okay. So we can continue along that same theme. So how do you plan on engaging the community to make sure that they understand that that's what you feel like your role is?
The biggest part is just getting out there and interacting with people. This is a completely new law enforcement agency, a completely new role within the park. So it's going to take, again, community outreach, going to meetings, even just going even throughout the park system to meet the people who work in the park. And I've been going to different maintenance centers and different shops, etc., to introduce myself, to learn from them where are the issues that they see. What can we do not only to make the parks better or safer for the community users, but what can we do to be of service and to make it is a safer and a more enjoyable job for the actual employees of the Parks and Rec as well.
Right. And then what about the our users, our various, how do you plan to engage them? Because again, you mentioned we have community centers, we have aquatics, we have JMF, we got historic homes, we have gazebos and things that people can use independently. Obviously we have tennis and other sports activities, even something as simple as basketball courts and pickleball courts where people play independently. So how are you planning to engage them and help making sure that they have as enjoyable an experience as possible?
Right. It's getting out there and being in those parks, being visible. We'll have a marked police vehicle. It's a white Ford Explorer that says Park Ranger on the side in green and blue and red lights. It's a clearly visible thing. So utilizing that to go through the parks, engaging with people who are using the parks, going to community meetings that are utilize the park facilities, going to things that you said at JMF like a Forest Fest, and just being out there, letting people know that we're a new resource that's available to be of assistance to them.
Anything interesting or exciting you have coming up or are planning or are thinking about?
It is a monumental task to start something like a new park ranger program from the ground up.
Right.
And I've been fortunate that people who've been working before I was hired to get it going and put great momentum behind it. So that's the biggest part, is just moving it forward, growing it, working with other entities within Metro government to get it moving and going in that direction. And then so I can get out there and be a part of those community events.
So are you excited about being a pioneer? I mean, it's a tremendous opportunity because what you're doing has never been done before. So you get to sort of set the bar.
It absolutely, and I think, I know I do, and I think most people probably have that great scenario. They wish they could be something, be from the initial to help build it, to build a legacy with it. Like you said, create it into what you think it would be as far as it being of good service and having a distinguished record associated with it.
Right. Okay, so in terms of building a legacy, let's talk about building a team. So two-part question. If someone was interested in doing this type of work in public service, what advice would you give them? But then also, as you're looking to build your team, what kind of person are you looking for?
Right. So if we start with, let's say a younger person, maybe high school, college, who's looking for a career in that, I tell them it's an amazing career to have. There are so many different opportunities that get you able to be of service to the community. What I've always done is I prefer to be out and about. Sitting in an office is not my ideal situation.
Right.
So, being out and again having 124 different parks to be able to patrol, it's something new every day. And again, to me, that's rewarding to do that and again provide that service, interact with people. You meet somebody new every day. You have countless opportunities to make a positive impact in the community. If you talk about our team with the park rangers, we want someone who shares those same ideas, those same goals, that they want to be of service to the community. This is not a replacement for Louisville Metro Police Department. This is an additional resource to focus on parks and rec locations, to make them the safest, the most inviting, the most welcoming that they can be, to ensure that everyone in the community would want to go to a park and remove any barriers that might have people from utilizing the parks.
Okay. Last question. We've talked about the job, and you've had a relatively long career in law enforcement. What was your best day? What was your best experience in any aspect of law enforcement? Because people think of law enforcement as the enforcement, but you're a person. You have a family. You enjoy hobbies and things like that as well. But in terms of doing your job, what was a memorable experience you've had?
You know, the thing that I always hoped for was to make a positive impact on someone's life. And so if you can have an interaction with someone, even if you have to arrest them, the people that I would run into later, even years later, who remembered the interaction that I had with them, and it had a positive effect on them. And I've been very fortunate that several times people have come up to me, you know, a long time later, and I may or may not have remembered them, but they remembered me in the way that I treated them. And that, again, made a positive impact on their life. It changed something. This job a lot of times entails meeting people or interacting with people on the worst day of their life, and trying to do whatever it is that you can to make it somewhat better for them or their immediate family. So that's been the biggest part, is just the times that someone has come back and shared with me how something I did had a positive, life-changing effect for them.
Great. I've actually seen that happen in a different program that we operated, but nonetheless,
I appreciate it.
It's
been a
great to
pleasure.
have you here.
Thank you.
So, Ben Johnson, Beyond the Bench, James Brown, initiating our new park ranger program. Stay tuned, and if you see him out, just wave,
Say hello.
shake his hand, say hi. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Beyond the Bench. Our next guest, Mr. David Grissom, forestry manager.
Parks and Recreation Manager.
We have so many titles.
Yep.
Parks and Recreation Manager at.
Jefferson Memorial Forest.
Great. So tell them who you are.
Yeah.
What is JMF? And maybe even how did he get his name?
Yeah, so my name is David Grissom. I work for Jefferson Memorial Forest. Specifically, I'm with the programs department.
Okay.
So I do a lot of the really fun things at the forest, right? So we're 6,700 acres just south of Louisville, but we're within Jefferson County. So we're a memorial park to the veterans of Jefferson County. So that's where we get our name.
Okay. So Jefferson from the county and memorial because, okay, cool. Good. So why are you here? Why are you there? How long have you been there?
So I've been there for 10 years.
That's a good stint.
Yeah, and it's a pretty cool story. I actually started as a seasonal for a 6-month position and a summer camp position. And then I took an entry level as a recreation coordinator. Y'all are familiar with recreation positions.
Yeah.
And so I did that for about 3 years.
Okay.
Worked myself up to a supervisor position, and then eventually, just recently in the past 2 years, have become a manager.
Great. Congratulations. So was all of this at JMF?
That's correct.
Because a lot of people don't realize that we have that JMF is basically a recreation facility as well.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into your summer camps a little bit later. So okay. So let's jump back into JMF though. Last month we had Keith on and we talked about Mary T. So similarly, a lot of people don't realize that Mary T. Maher Aquatic Center is run by Louisville Parks and Recreation. Similarly, don't realize that Jefferson Memorial Forest is run by Louisville Parks and Recreation. So what else don't they know?
Yeah, so I like to say that a lot of folks, you can look at us as a pretty unique gem in what we do here, right?
Okay.
So we offer some really great hiking trails. We have 2 lakes, one that you can fish out that's stocked regularly by Fish and Wildlife.
Okay.
But yeah, we have over 50 miles that you can do, whether it be just with foot or if you have an equestrian, you can do some equestrian trails in our Paul Yost section.
Okay.
So we offer a pretty unique experience to the Louisvillians and surrounding counties too.
So what's the name of the lakes?
So we have Tom Wallace Lake,
Okay.
and then there's Mitchell Hill Lake.
So which one can they fish out of?
That's Tom Wallace.
Okay, because I'm just thinking if people, watching the show and say, oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
So they know which one to look for or ask about. So you've mentioned a few features, equestrian, lakes, what have you.
Mm-hmm.
What is your favorite area of
Yeah.
JMF?
I'm glad you asked because being with programs, I'm kind of stationed in the Horine Reservation area. And
Okay.
so that's who the property owner was before. But that's kind of where my office is. And I literally love to walk outside of my office, go straight to the trails, and hit the Blue Trail, which
Okay.
goes to Mitchell Hill Lake. And the reason why it's my favorite is because you do get to have, I think, the best of all of the forest. You get high up elevation, you're about 800 feet or so, you go down a little bit, and then you get to the lake. You make this great loop. You can kind of get to a nice little picnic spot. There's some great viewing areas, but you see all the features that we kind of have to offer at the forest.
So how many trails are there?
Trail-wise, I think there's about 10 to 11 trails and growing. We just added another one this year, the White Oak Ridge Trail, which was another 2.5 miles, give or take.
Okay. Do the colors correspond to anything like ski moguls and difficulty or anything?
Not really.
Okay.
Some of them are just kind of based on their proximity and where they're at, and we try to simplify that as best as possible for users. So we have some moderate trails, we have some novice trails, and then we do have some pretty long trails. So we have the Siltstone Trail, which is about 6.1 miles one direction.
Okay.
So you got to either
And
have
it's a trail.
and that's a trail. It's up and down. It's up and down. So you want to make sure you have someone who's either going to pick you up or be ready to come back another 6 miles.
Right. Okay. So Tom Wallace, you mentioned that. So anything going on there?
A lot of stuff. So
Okay.
we actually have a press release coming up in the next couple weeks.
Okay.
We're pretty excited to announce. I'm sure people have seen it, but we have a lot of improvements.
Okay.
So this past year we've been under construction, but everything's looking much better. We've got a new ADA pathway that goes around the trail,
Oh,
so
cool.
it's more accessible to wheelchair users.
Great.
We've also launched a new kayak and canoe ramp, so anybody that's got a non-motor boat or anything can pull their paddle boats in there and get on the lake and paddle.
Gotcha.
Most recently, last week, we opened up our new nature playground. It's a really cool play set that's got like an acorn feature to it. And then in the next couple of months, 2 weeks or so, I think we're going to be breaking ground on trying to get some restrooms in the backside of Tom Wallace as well. So there's a lot of really good progress happening.
Cool. So interesting. Summer camp.
Yeah.
Your eyes lit up already. What's going on?
Oh, it's happening. It's happening. I've been hiring my folks. We're pretty much sold out for most of our camps that we do.
What's the difference?
So we do summer day camps, and they're about, I would say, 6 different offerings. So we have some repeats in that, but we do different themes. So we have adventure camp, which is kind of like your typical summer camp experience where you're taking kids on hikes, you're doing archery programs. We do some other things though, because we have ponds, we have streams, we have nature centers with animals in them. So we do a little bit more environmental education based things as well. So we mix that with both adventure recreation and environmental education. So
Cool.
some of them might be more specific to watersheds, like our Water Wonders, where we get to go down to a stream, net up some cool insects and macroinvertebrates. And then we actually take the kiddos canoeing. We go to Otter Creek and do a tube day. Some of my favorite camps are the more theatrical ones.
Okay.
And so there's Fairies, Trolls, and Gnomes, which is geared towards more of the younger kiddos. But
Younger.
7 to 10.
Okay, not
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
younger, but
I know you'll have some really itty bitties over there, but that camp is pretty unique because they focus on creating their own like fairy story. They do a play. They create their costumes. They get to have a
That's
tea
cool.
party at the end of the week. A lot of the staff get to dress up as trolls, gnomes, and fairies. I've done that a couple of times.
Which one?
Just trolls and gnomes so far.
So fairies this year?
I might be on that list. That's possible. And then we do
Cool.
an older kid camp too, Camp Cryptid, which is like cryptid zoology, following all the local lores of like the Goat Man of Pope Lick, Bigfoot. But all of those we kind of teach really cool environmental education skills with them too.
Okay. Interesting. Sounds like a good time. So is 7 the youngest? For
Seven
you all
is-
camps?
Yep, 7's the youngest, and then I would say 15 being the oldest.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So I try to stress to the recreation team, if you work in recreation, everybody should be doing something that you love
Mm-hmm.
because there are so many different things you can do in recreation. What is it about JMF and your current or previous roles that you love?
I think for JMF, it's the variety of what we offer to everyone.
Mhm.
So I list off quite a few things there that we had just with it, our summer camp experiences, but we also do team building.
I was going to ask about
Yep,
that.
yep. And so we have a low course elements, about 10 or 12 different elements that we invite middle school and high school. So JCPS, Archdiocese, homeschoolers, they've come out and we do team building facilitation with them.
Right.
And so we run them through icebreakers, different problem solving games, and we talk about kind of the conflicts that come up because it's important for them to be able to work through that as a group. But we try to build them up and illustrate what's the best thing for them to do in that outcome.
Right. So quasi like almost the original escape room concept
A
kind of
little
thing?
bit, yeah. We have folks kind of we're adjacent to that, and then we have some things that are higher up too. So one thing that I've been working on with one of our supervisors is what we call the elevated teams course,
Okay.
and it's not quite what you'd think of like for a zip line course or something like that. It's about 10 or 12 feet off the ground with tree canopy kind of crossings
Okay.
that people get harnessed up. We talk about how to do it safely, and then we actually have them participate from the ground as well. So
Gotcha.
we have individuals crossing in the trees, but then their teammates can help them out from below.
So it's kind of flexible and adaptable.
Yep, that's
you
exactly right.
You want to make sure people have a good time, a learning experience, but also feel comfortable and safe.
Yep.
Great. Okay. So why should people care about Jefferson Memorial Forest? You know, Louisville has some very strong, proud neighborhood things, identities. You all are right. You said you're right on the cusp of being out of Jefferson County. So why do you think people should actually care? Educate the community.
Yeah, our natural resources are important. Like I listed, we said we have 6,700 acres, and that's a lot of land, but a lot of ecosystem that's protected, and that's pretty important to kind of stress to the folks that once it's kind of gone, it's really hard to replace and bring back. So we are pretty privileged as a county to have such a good amount of land right here in our own backyard.
Where does it rank?
As far as
Like size-wise and being municipally controlled?
yeah, it is the largest municipally owned forest.
That's what I thought.
And so that's something that's pretty awesome for a city to have. But we're only 15-20 minutes from downtown Louisville, and you can kind of feel an escape. You don't feel like you're way out into the wilderness,
Right.
but you can get a little bit of calm and get a little bit of serenity, and that's something that I really enjoy myself. Like I said, going on hikes after work, it's one of those things that's great for your mental health. It's good for your physical well-being, and it's one of those things that we just really don't want to lose as a community.
Last question. I think it's fair to say when most people think of facilities like JMF, Jefferson Memorial Forest, they think of a certain type of user or that it appeals to a certain type of person. If they don't come out and participate, what are they missing?
Oh, a lot. So we have so many family programs that kind of work with all the ages. I think you mentioned the intergenerational programming being very important. We have stuff that's geared towards youth for nature play, anything upwards to adult programming. And we have community events such as Forest Fest, our campouts. We have Great American Campouts. So we offer a lot for folks to kind of get into that world safely and understand it in the best way. So that way that they can enjoy it from a lifetime on.
Gotcha. Okay, great. Well, David, it was great having you.
Thank you, Ben.
Again, David Grissom, Parks and Rec Manager.
Parks and Recreation Manager.
Parks and Recreation Manager at Jefferson Memorial Forest, the largest municipally operated facility of that nature in the country. So another hidden gem. And I guess we're going to close this segment with a Did You Know? Because most people did not. A couple of quick updates before we go. You heard about the summer camps at JMF and some of their great opportunities. The community centers are having summer camps and open programs. So call the center near you to find out which your location is offering and which you prefer. 574-7275. Well, I'm going to give a shout out to our operations team. You all know we had some major flooding that took place recently. They were out there in the midst of it, cleaning up properties, cleaning up parks, cleaning up golf courses. So I want to give them a shout out because a lot of time their work goes unnoticed. but you'll notice if it doesn't happen. So great job, operations. And lastly, want to say, great job to the Parks and Rec team. We were in the bed race. We participated in the KDF block party. We were also in the Pegasus parade. We had a ball. If you're the kind of person and those things sound like fun to you, follow us on all of our socials and also bestparksever.com to find out about job opportunities that you can participate in. This is Ben Johnson, Louisville Parks and Recreation Assistant Director, Beyond the Bench. We will see you next month.